This is my lesson showcase. I decided to do a video on my PowerPoint. It worked out a little bit easier for me. This is over mixtures and solutions. So my audience is 70 fourth grade students. 99% of them are Hispanic, and I service a Title I school in Central Texas. The reasoning for this, or the rationale for this lesson, is because the ability to separate and in some cases put back together various mixtures, it's an aspect of so many careers. And when students can see and tie their learning to an actual career, they have a little bit more care in learning it. We tie in a little bit about blood, and if you didn't know the blood flowing through your body is a mixture, and it can be separated into different parts, then listen up, because in this unit, we are going to learn all about those various mixtures and how they can be separated. This content focus is on the readiness standards for 4th and 5th grade, for Science Star for 5th grade. So some of the highlights of this lesson is my students really enjoyed, I got to do this in my lit camp this summer, my kids really enjoyed getting to test their predictions. Before we did this lab, students tested what they thought would separate each mixture, and they were really excited when their tools to separate these various mixtures were correct. Nobody in my group thought that we could separate salt water, and when we actually got to do that and then see the salt left behind at the end and all the water evaporated away, it was a pretty cool eye-opener to some of the students, and it was a lot of fun. So here are some I can statements that are going to go with this lab. Given 5 different mixtures, salt and water, sand and water, Kool-Aid and water, gravel and water, and lime juice and water, students can distinguish if the mixture is easy or hard to separate, and in a graphic organizer with 95% accuracy or higher. Given 5 different mixtures, salt and water, sand and water, Kool-Aid and water, gravel and water, and lime juice and water, students can deconstruct the mixture using different tools, showing the separation of the 2 ingredients with 90% accuracy. And given 3 different texts on how matter can maintain its physical properties, students can summarize the difference between the solutions and mixtures using claim, evidence, and reasoning. So this is the activity. Students were given these various tools. They had already made student journal entries that looked just like this, so they just pasted into their journal and they got to fill out the table as they went through their lab. This lab was front loaded, so the day before we did do your explain portion of the 5E, where students watched videos, they listened to different stories, and then we mapped out different mixtures and solutions. Students used the tools on the right to separate the various mixtures and then completed a table in their interactive notebooks on this lab. The students already had this information, and then we used these items to fill in our table. For my evaluation, I had just 2 multiple choice questions. I had 2 true and false questions, and then I gave kids an option on what they wanted. They could write or they could draw. And they were different for each one, but they had a choice. Some of them could draw out the individual steps for separating the above mixture, sand, iron, and pepper, or they could or they could write using how would you separate these and claim evidence and reasoning. For some students, they liked drawing better. For some, they liked writing better, found it easier. I front-loaded these for kids who needed accommodations. I would put in the last picture, salt being evaporated from a beaker, and then I would have pepper off to the side in a coffee filter, showing them the end result and giving them a way to kind of build up what they needed to know. For these students as well, for the ones that needed accommodation and writing, there were sentence starters already put in place that they could fit right into their journal, and then they just had to put in the actual writing answer. Here's my rubric for this. It's kind of big, but it kind of fits all the way in there. It's too big. And thank you.